Hi everyone, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. I'm really happy you're here. Tonight, we're going to go on a calm and quiet trip to learn something amazing. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy this peaceful science story together. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? If you like relaxing science videos, don't forget to tap the like button. Now let's begin.
Imagine a warm, dark room with no walls and no floor. A room that is not really a room at all, but a gentle everywhere that has not learned how to be space yet. In this quiet place, there is no up or down, no before or after, not even a ticking clock to count the seconds. There is only a small breath that has not been taken, a soft pause that holds its air, like a secret kept between two heartbeats. We call this pause the beginning, though we are not sure if it was the first beginning or simply the first beginning we can touch with our math and our light. Scientists give it a name that sounds big and bright. They call it the Big Bang. But the name can be misleading because it was not a bang like a firework and it made no thunder. It was more like a blooming, a smooth unfolding, a hush becoming a whisper and then a song. When people picture the Big Bang, they sometimes think of a point in the blackness exploding into the open. But space itself was part of the blossom. The where stretched as the what took form. It was like a soap bubble growing from nothing, except the bubble was everything, and the skin of the bubble was the rule book for how everything would move and change. In those first moments, if we can even call them moments, the universe was hot beyond words, thick and bright with energy. There were no stars to wink, no dust to twirl, no atoms to hold hands. There was only a field of light and raw possibility, shivering with tiny jittering patterns we call quantum fluctuations. They were small as small can be, the little wiggles that happen when you cannot measure anything without tickling it. These tiny wiggles, grown large by the stretching of space, would one day become the seeds of galaxies and the paths of rivers of stars. The story of the Big Bang is also the story of time learning how to walk. Before the universe opened, our ideas of before and after do not work very well. The clock face had not been painted yet. We talk about the Planck time, a whisper-thin slice of time so short that even the word short feels too roomy. In that slice, our equations bow their heads and say, we do not know. We use careful models to peer past the glare. Some scientists suggest there was a kind of superfast stretching called inflation, when space grew like a breath blowing up a balloon, not slowly, but in a rush that was still smooth. During this rush, those tiny quantum wiggles were pulled across the universe, smoothed and spread, then gently frozen as patterns in the newborn glow. Later, we would see the afterglow of that glow and call it the cosmic microwave background, the cool light left behind when the hot fog of the young universe thinned and became clear. When we tune our special radio eyes to that light, we see tiny warm spots and cool spots, soft freckles on the face of the first dawn. Think of a quiet pond on a windless night. If you tap the surface with the tip of your finger, you make small ripples. Now imagine the pond itself swelling, the shoreline running away from you in every direction while the ripples ride along. Inflation is something like that, except the pond is not inside anything larger. The pond is all there is. While the pond swelled, the energy that powered the swelling faded like a sigh and the growth slowed. The universe then settled into a long, patient expansion. It did not stop growing. It simply moved from a sprint to a walk, then a steady stroll. And inside this growing space, energy began to thicken into matter. Particles that had danced free in the heat began to find partners. Quarks joined to become protons and neutrons. For a little while, the universe was a busy kitchen, with ingredients bumping and clumping and letting go again. Then came a calm enough moment after a few minutes when protons and neutrons linked to form the first simple hearts of atoms, mostly hydrogen and some helium, with a faint trace of lithium. This is called nucleosynthesis, a soft word for the first weaving of matter's thread. But the newborn atoms had to wait to catch their electrons. The universe was still too hot and too crowded with light, and every time an electron tried to sit down beside a proton, a photon would shove it away. Only after about 380,000 years, a long time to us but only a first blink to a cosmos, did the universe cool enough for electrons to settle and the fog of light to clear. When that happened, light could finally travel without being chased and bounced at every step. It streamed out in all directions, filling everything. That is the afterglow we see today with careful instruments, cooled and stretched by time, humming in the microwave part of the spectrum. It is the universe's baby picture, soft and speckled and very, very telling. The breath before creation is not a breath we can hear, but we can feel its trace. If you take a deep breath right now and hold it, you can sense your chest widen. The universe, in its own way, is doing something similar. Space keeps widening, not into anything but as itself. Distant galaxies are not flying through space so much as riding the growth of space. Like raisins in a rising loaf of bread, they get farther apart even if they barely move on their own. When we look far away with great telescopes, we look back in time as well, because light takes time to reach us. We see galaxies as they were when the universe was young. The farther we look, the younger they appear. Some of them are small and messy, still learning how to turn their gas into stars. Others already spin like grand pinwheels, their arms sprinkled with bright knots of newborn suns and dusty lanes where new stars wait their turn. But this story asks a quiet question. Was the Big Bang the start of everything, or only the start of our chapter? The truth is gentle and honest. We do not know. Some scientists explore ideas where the universe is like a bouncing ball that shrinks and grows, breathes in and breathes out. In these ideas, a past contraction might have led to a bounce that became our Big Bang. Others imagine many universes, like seeds in a vast field, each with its own gentle rules, born from a larger process we cannot yet see. These are not tales told to trick the dark. They are careful guesses built from math, from patterns in the afterglow, from the way galaxies gather, from the way space expands faster today than we expected, as if pushed by a very soft, very wide pressure we call dark energy. Even so, our best picture for the first steps of our own cosmos is still the Big Bang, followed by expansion, cooling, and the slow rise of structure from the tiny seeds left by quantum wiggles. Hold in your mind the feeling of standing in a quiet field before sunrise. The air is cool. The grass holds tiny beads of water, and the world has not decided yet what colors it will wear. In that hush, you sense the first change of light, the hint that day is coming. The Big Bang is like that first hint, but on a scale so large that our words must move slowly to keep up. The field is space itself. The dew is the glow of the early sky, and the rising light is everything that will become stars, planets, oceans, and living hands. When the first stars lit, they were giants compared to our sun, and they lived fast. They burned hydrogen into helium and helium into heavier elements, then ended their lives with great size that spread those elements far and wide. These were the first gifts of starlight. From them came the carbon in your breath, the oxygen in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the iron that helps your cells carry air. It is a calm thought, but a deep one. We are made of the ashes of stars, and the stars were born from the breath that opened at the start. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the universe telling its own bedtime story. It says, I learned to be smooth. I learned to be clumpy. I learned to layer my light and fold my matter. I learned to make the kind of quiet where life could someday wonder and ask. When you hold a stone in your hand, you are holding a memory that began in that first bloom. The stone is a poem written in atoms, each atom a line that starts at the beginning. When you taste a drop of water, you taste 2 hydrogen atoms that likely formed in the first minutes of time, and 1 oxygen that likely came from a star that died before our sun was even born. The drop's journey was long and slow, but it began in the heat that cooled after the first breath. Sometimes people ask, where did the Big Bang happen? The gentle answer is everywhere, not because the explosion filled a room, but because the room came with the flame. Every point in space was once closer together. Every place you can point to was tucked into that early heat. So in a way, the beginning is not far away. It is in the space between you and the screen you are reading, in the space between the atoms in your bones, in the light that hums in your microwave oven, a cousin of the ancient glow. It is a quiet comfort to know that the beginning is still with us, stretched but present, like a lullaby that has traveled a long way and softened with distance. Let us drift a little deeper into how we know these things. We know because the light from distant galaxies is stretched to longer, redder wavelengths. a sign that space between us has grown while the light was on its way. We know because the cosmic microwave background is amazingly even, the same gentle temperature in almost all directions, with only tiny, tiny ripples that match what inflation would leave behind. We know because the mix of hydrogen and helium in far-off, simple clouds is just what our early universe kitchen would cook. And we know because we can run the clock backward in our equations and see how the dance of gravity, light, and matter could have led from that first bloom to the grand web of galaxies we see today, strung like pearls along invisible strings, gathered into filaments and nodes by the slow pull of gravity over billions of years. You can picture that web if you close your eyes. Imagine a fog lit from within, with bright threads crossing the darkness, meeting at glowing knots. Along those threads, gas flows and collects, and in the knots, galaxies are born and grow, sometimes merging in slow, graceful spirals, sometimes colliding in messy, beautiful ways that kick off new waves of star birth. Our own home galaxy, the Milky Way, is one shimmering pearl on one of those threads. It carries hundreds of billions of stars, small and large, old and young. Around one ordinary star, a gentle yellow one, a set of planets circles. And on one small, blue planet, water runs and clouds drift and living things ask questions. The path from the first breath to this moment is long, but each step is simple when taken one at a time. Expand, cool, clump, shine, and wonder. Now imagine the earliest light again, the baby glow spread across the sky. If you could lie back in a field and see microwaves the way you see starlight, the whole sky would seem to glow with a soft, uniform warmth like a blanket fresh from the sun. That blanket is not loud, it is not frantic, it is calm and even. The tiny specks in its pattern are not mistakes, they are the seeds of everything. Where the glow was a tiny bit warmer, there was a little more matter. Where it was cooler, a little less. With time, the little became large. Gravity is not in a hurry. It pulls and waits until clouds of gas grow heavy and fall inward, until their cores grow hot and bright and stars are born. This gentle patience is one of the universe's simplest rules. It is the reason big things take time and why the best stories unfold at their own pace. There is still mystery here, and that is fine. Dark matter, which does not shine or glow, seems to make up much of the mass that forms the web's threads. It tugs on stars and gas, helping draw them together, yet it stays quiet, unwilling to sing with light. Dark energy, softer still, seems to push on space in a way that makes the expansion speed up very slowly but surely, like a hand on a swing giving tiny, regular pushes. We do not yet know what these dark partners are. We simply see their fingerprints on the shape of the world. The beginning folded these parts into the story, and the story keeps going. If you stand at the shore and watch the tide, you're seeing how the moon and the sun pull on the sea. If you watch a sunset, you're seeing how light bends and scatters as it passes through air. If you listen to your heartbeat, you are hearing the quiet drum that began when your body learned to be alive. All of these simple, daily things are tied by thin lines back to the first breath. The laws that govern water and light and life are verses from the same poem. The poem began the moment the universe took shape, and it is still being recited by every star, every leaf, every eye that opens in the morning to see the sky. Was the Big Bang the start of everything? Maybe the better question is, what do we mean by start, and what do we mean by everything? In the softest words, we can say this. The Big Bang was the start of our visible universe as we can measure it. It was the start of space spreading and time flowing and matter forming and light cooling into colors. It was the first page of the book we can read with our tools and our minds. There may be pages we cannot read yet, pages that came before, or other books altogether, resting on a shelf we cannot reach. But the page we do have is rich and gentle, and it whispers to us each night when we look up, "You are part of this story. Your breath belongs to the same opening breath." And so when you close your eyes and drift towards sleep, you can picture that early glow as a small, bright kindness that grew into a world large enough to hold oceans and forests and the quiet hush of rooms where people whisper good night. You can feel the calm of that first unfolding in your own chest. You can imagine that everything that is, from the sand on a beach to the fire in a star, is a slow, patient echo of a moment when the universe learned how to be. That moment is not gone. It is here stretched and softened in the light between galaxies, in the atoms that make your bones, in the warm breath that leaves your lips and then returns. What began as a whisper became a chorus, and the chorus speaks softly still, telling you that beginnings are not loud and the biggest truths often arrive like dawn, the sky paling, the birds stirring, the world finding its color. In that pale light, the question of the start becomes a comfort. Whatever was before, whatever may come after, this breath is ours to share with all things, a quiet joining with the first, endless morning. Now imagine we are sitting together under a dark sky, and above us the stars breathe their slow and ancient light. Each point of brightness is a reminder of how far the story has already traveled since that first unfolding breath. In Section 1, we drifted through the earliest moments when time itself began to stretch and atoms were first woven. Now let us sink deeper into the quiet bridges that connect that fiery beginning with the world we know today. These bridges are built of patience, of billions of years where nothing rushed but everything changed. The Big Bang may sound like an instant, but what followed was not hurried. It was gentle growth, like the rings of a tree spreading layer upon layer, until forests and oceans and mines could appear. The early atoms, mostly hydrogen and helium, floated through the widening space like tiny notes waiting to form a melody. Alone, they were simple. Together, they could create new possibilities. But for a long time, they drifted in the dark, thinly spread across the young universe. There were no stars to shine, no galaxies to spin, only vast, cool clouds where gravity whispered slowly, pulling particles together. This was the cosmic dark age, a stretch of hundreds of millions of years when light from stars had not yet been born. The sky then was not like the sky we see today. It was filled with the faint afterglow of the Big Bang, but no new lamps had been lit. To imagine it, think of a vast night with no moon, only the faintest even glow across the horizon, and silence so deep you can hear your own breath. Yet in that hush, gravity worked quietly, weaving clumps that would soon become the first stars. When those first stars finally arrived, they were giants. They burned hotter and lived faster than the stars we see now. Within their hearts, nuclear fires roared, turning hydrogen into helium and helium into carbon, oxygen, and heavier elements. These stars did not live long. In just a few million years, they exploded as supernovae, scattering the elements of life into the void. Imagine watching a firework in slow motion, its sparks drifting not for seconds, but for thousands of years, seeding the dark with new ingredients. This was the universe's first act of alchemy. From simple atoms came the building blocks of planets, oceans, mountains, and breath. Every atom of carbon in your body once passed through the heart of such a star, born from the ashes of that first generation. It is a soft and humbling thought that even in the darkest ages, the seeds of life were already being sown. As the first stars died, galaxies began to gather. Clouds of gas fell together under gravity, spinning and flattening into disks, glowing as new stars formed in spirals and clusters. The universe was waking. Imagine the dark canvas slowly filling with swirls of light, like glowing ink spreading across black water. Each galaxy became a small city of stars, bound by gravity, filled with rivers of light. Some galaxies grew large, swallowing their neighbors. Others remained small, faint smudges that would later orbit bigger systems. The web of the cosmos began to take shape. Filaments of galaxies stretched across millions of light years, with great voids between them, empty and silent. This cosmic web is still visible today when astronomers map the universe. It looks like a vast lace of light, delicate and strong, reminding us that even emptiness has a pattern. In the heart of many galaxies, something else was growing: black holes. These are places where gravity folds so tightly that nothing, not even light, can escape. Some of them grew to enormous sizes, millions or billions of times heavier than the sun. As matter fell toward them, it heated and glowed, creating the brightest beacons in the universe, called quasars. Imagine a lighthouse shining so powerfully it can be seen from billions of light years away through oceans of time. Quasars lit up the early universe, their glow helping to reionize the hydrogen fog and make the cosmos transparent again. In a way, these dark hearts helped the light return. It is a paradox. The places that swallowed light also gave birth to more of it, shaping the clarity of the universe we now see. Our own galaxy, the Milky Way, was part of this long weaving. It began as small clumps of gas and stars that merged together over billions of years. Each merger added new rivers of light, new families of stars, new clouds of gas to form more suns. The Milky Way grew into a vast spiral, stretching over 100,000 light-years with hundreds of billions of stars. Among them, about 4.6 billion years ago, one star was born from a cloud enriched by many supernovae. Around that star, dust and gas circled, clumping into planets. One of those planets was Earth, small and rocky, just the right distance from its star to hold liquid water. And so, from the breath before creation to a swirl of dust around a newborn star, the story carried us here. But to pause here is to miss the quiet beauty of what happened along the way. Every galaxy we see in the sky carries its own version of this journey. Some grew old and red, filled with ancient stars that know. Ungjur form new ones. Others are still bright with blue young stars, busy with new births. Some galaxies dance in pairs, their gravity pulling them into long, curving streams of stars like ribbons trailing in the wind. Others crash together in slow-motion collisions, blending into new forms. Even now, our Milky Way is on a path toward a gentle collision with its neighbor, the Andromeda Galaxy. In about 4 billion years, the two will merge, their stars swirling into new shapes. But from Earth, if anyone is here to see it, the night sky will bloom with countless new points of light, brighter and more crowded than ever before. This too is part of the slow unfolding that began with the first breath. What is remarkable is how the story is written not just in the stars, but in us. The iron in your blood helps carry oxygen. The calcium in your bones gives strength. The oxygen you breathe and the carbon in every cell are all products of stars long gone. When you close your eyes and take a breath, you are connecting to that chain of events that stretches back to the Big Bang. You are, in the softest truth, the universe becoming aware of itself. The atoms that once drifted in silence now move together in your heartbeat, in your thoughts, in the words you whisper. It is a quiet miracle, but not one outside science. It is science itself that shows us the poetry if we listen gently. And still, the Big Bang remains a mystery wrapped in clarity. We can trace the steps from then to now with precision. We can measure the cosmic microwave background, map galaxies across billions of light years, and test our theories with mathematics that hold steady. Yet we cannot answer fully the first question: was this the start of everything? Some theories suggest the Big Bang was just one bounce in an eternal cycle, like a heartbeat of the cosmos, expanding and contracting forever. Others suggest inflation may have spawned not just our universe, but many, each with its own laws, its own breath. In such ideas, our universe is one flower in an endless field, blooming briefly, beautifully, before the field itself continues beyond sight. These are not certainties, but possibilities, gentle attempts to peer past the horizon of what we can know. The comfort lies in this: whatever came before, whatever may come after, we are part of a story that is vast, calm, and ongoing. The night sky above us is not only a ceiling of stars, it is a record, a diary written in light. Each star, each galaxy, each faint glow carries the memory of that first moment. And when we look, we read. We do not read quickly, for the letters are scattered and faint. We read slowly, patiently, like tracing a finger across ancient stone. And in the reading, we learn not only about the universe, but about ourselves. That we are patient creatures, that we can find beauty in silence, that we can hold questions without always needing answers. This too is science. This too is wonder. So let us rest in the thought that the Big Bang was not an end but a beginning, and not the beginning of all beginnings, but the opening of a chapter that still continues. The breath before creation has stretched into songs of galaxies, into whispers of starlight, into the rhythm of tides and the warmth of touch. It is still unfolding, and we are still unfolding with it. When you next lie down and close your eyes, let the thought comfort you. The atoms in your body were carried here by the calm patience of the cosmos, by stars that lived and died, by a universe that keeps expanding. You are not outside the story. You are a verse in its poem, a quiet continuation of the breath that began everything we know. Imagine the story now drawing itself toward a gentle close, not as a book ends, but as a song softens, its last notes hanging in the air long after the music has finished. We began with the breath before creation, with silence and unfolding light. We wandered through the dark ages, the first stars, the weaving of galaxies, and the way the cosmos wrote its memory into every atom of our bodies. Now let us follow the path to its softer edges, to the questions that linger and the quiet wonder that rests at the heart of it all. The Big Bang may have been the beginning we can measure, but perhaps it was not the start of everything. Perhaps it was the start of our story, one chapter among many, in a library too vast to see. The universe continues to expand, its galaxies drifting apart like lanterns carried down a wide river. And the river itself, the space that carries them, grows wider. Astronomers watch this expansion and see not only its steady pace, but also its acceleration, as if some unseen hand is urging the flow faster. This hand we call dark energy, a name that holds more mystery than answer. It is not a force we can touch, not a substance we can gather. It is an effect we see in the way distant galaxies slide away from us faster than we expected. Dark energy is like the whisper of W. You cannot see, but you feel in the tilt of a sail. It suggests that the universe will not slow down into a quiet stillness, but will continue stretching, perhaps forever, until galaxies grow so far apart their light can no longer reach each other. If this is the path, the night sky will grow lonelier. Millions and billions of years from now, future observers, if any remain, will not see the crowded sky we know. The Milky Way will have merged with Andromeda into a new galaxy, but beyond that, the rest of the universe will slip away beyond sight. The cosmic microwave background, now faint but measurable, will stretch so far it becomes undetectable. The stars will burn out one by one, and the story of light will grow quiet. Yet even in this far-off vision, there is calm. The universe will not vanish. It will simply change. It will become quieter, like a fire that has warmed the night slowly turning to embers, and perhaps those embers will hold seeds for something new. But some scientists whisper other possibilities. Perhaps the expansion will not last forever. Perhaps the hidden energy will change, and the universe will one day slow, then collapse, folding back in on itself until everything returns to a single point. This is the idea of the Big Crunch, where the end mirrors the beginning and the breath of creation becomes a breath drawn inward. Or perhaps before such a collapse, something else will happen. The fabric of space itself may tear if dark energy grows stronger and stronger. In this big rip, galaxies, stars, planets, even atoms would be pulled apart by the growing stretch. These ideas are not certainties, only possible futures painted by the math of our best equations. And in each we see the same pattern. Beginnings and endings may not be so separate, but two sides of the same endless rhythm. There are also ideas of rebirth, cycles that go on without end. In these, the Big Bang was not unique, but part of an eternal pulse. The universe expands, collapses, and expands again like the beating of a heart. Or inflation may not have stopped with our cosmos, but may have bubbled off countless universes, each with its own laws, its own story. We call this the multiverse, not because we can prove it, but because the math allows for it, and the mind is drawn to its possibility. If this is true, then our Big Bang was one of many, one spark in a sky filled with endless sparks. And somewhere beyond the edge of our sight, other universes may stretch, each carrying its own breath of creation. Whether or not we will ever know is uncertain. The horizon of our universe may always be the limit of our vision, a soft curtain we cannot lift. But even behind a curtain, the imagination wonders. For us here in this moment, the Big Bang is not just a theory. It is a mirror. It shows us where we came from, and it teaches us patience. When you look up at the stars, you see light that has traveled for thousands, millions, or even billions of years. That light began its journey when our Earth was young, or when life was just beginning, or before life at all. Each starlight photon is a traveler from the past, carrying a story of time written into its wavelength. And when it touches your eye, it joins your story, a quiet meeting between the vast and the small. The Big Bang is in that meeting, for without it, there would be no stars to shine, no galaxies to hold them, no space to carry their light, and no time for your eyes to open. So was the Big Bang really the start of everything? The softest answer is that it was the start of everything we can see, touch, and measure. It was the start of space, time, and matter as we know them, but it may not have been the start of everything beyond. Science gives us honesty here, we do not know, and perhaps that unknowing is part of the beauty. A mystery is not a failure, but an invitation. It invites us to keep looking, to keep listening, to keep weaving poetry out of questions. And in the space between what we know and what we do not know, wonder grows. Let us drift one last time to the image of the first light. The universe, 380,000 years old, finally clear enough for photons to travel free, glowing with a soft brightness that filled every corner. That light has been stretched and cooled, but it still surrounds us today, a quiet hum, a gentle presence. It is the most ancient light we can see, and it tells us that the story did happen, that there was a beginning, that time did open, that matter did gather. When you close your eyes tonight, you can know that the same glow that touched the first atoms also passes through you. You are part of the same light, not apart from it. And so the breath before creation is not gone. It lingers in the spaces between galaxies, in the starlight that falls on oceans, in the atoms of your bones, in the rhythm of your breath. The Big Bang is not only a theory in a book, it is a lullaby sung by the cosmos itself. It says, "You were born from me. And I am still with you." Every beginning is carried forward in the smallest things, and every end may simply be another kind of beginning. The story is vast, but it is also intimate, folded into your very being. As you drift toward rest, let that truth be a comfort. You are the child of the first light, the echo of the first whisper, the continuation of the first breath. And no matter what came before or what may come after, this moment, this breath, is part of everything, joined forever to the calm dawn of the universe. In the beginning, before the first stars lit the sky, there was silence. Not the silence of a quiet night, filled with hidden sounds of insects or the distant rustle of leaves, but a silence so complete that even the idea of sound had not yet been born. The universe was a wide and patient expanse, filled with hydrogen and helium drifting through darkness, waiting for their moment to shine. This era is called the Cosmic Dark Ages, and it stretched across hundreds of millions of years. Imagine a vast ocean before the first wave, a canvas before the first brushstroke. It was not empty, for it held the seeds of galaxies, the gravity that would pull matter together, and the quiet potential of light. But it was still, waiting, and that stillness was the silence that birthed the stars. To picture it, close your eyes and imagine floating in the calmest sea, the water holding you without ripples, without motion. You cannot hear, for there is nothing yet to carry a sound. You cannot see, for no lamps have been lit. All around you is calm, infinite and soft, like being wrapped in endless night. This was the universe before stars. Yet within this calm, gravity whispered its patient song. Tiny ripples of density, born from the earliest fluctuations in the Big Bang, began to grow. Where matter was slightly thicker, gravity pulled it inward, drawing in more and more until invisible knots began to form. These knots would one day become the hearts of galaxies. The silence was not empty, it was pregnant with becoming. Slowly, the first stars began to kindle. They were unlike the stars we see today. They were giants, enormous compared to our sun, burning bright and short. Formed from pure hydrogen and helium, they had no heavier elements to cool their cores or slow their burning. They ignited quickly, lived furiously, and died young, sometimes in just a few million years. In their hearts, nuclear fire forged new elements: carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, the ingredients that life would one day require. And when they died with brilliance, scattering those elements into the space around them. Each death was not an end but a gift, seeding the cosmos with the materials that would form planets, oceans, forests, and breath. The silence gave way to song, and the universe became illuminated. This first light did more than brighten the cosmos. It changed the very structure of space. The radiation from young stars reionized the hydrogen fog, allowing light to travel freely. This period, called reionization, was like a dawn. Before it, the cosmos was murky, with photons unable to travel far before being scattered. After it, the universe grew transparent, filled with the glow of countless stars and galaxies. Imagine standing in a forest at night, shrouded in mist. then watching as the mist thins and the first beams of sunlight pierce through. Slowly, shapes appear, trees take form, and the whole world is revealed. That was the moment when silence gave way to vision, when the cosmos learned to shine. As more stars were born, they gathered into galaxies. Gravity pulled gas and dust into spirals, disks, and clusters, forming vast cities of light. Some galaxies grew massive, filled with billions of stars, while others remained small, faint smudges of light. Together, they formed the cosmic web, stretching across unimaginable distances, with filaments and clusters connected like a delicate lace. This was not chaos, but a pattern, a quiet architecture woven by gravity and time. The silence had given birth not only to stars, but to structure, to the grand design of the universe as we see it today. And yet, even in this light, the silence was never truly gone. Space is vast, and for every cluster of galaxies there are enormous voids, empty and dark, where few stars dwell. These voids are like the pauses in a song, the spaces that make the music possible. They remind us that silence is not the opposite of creation, but part of it. Without the dark, the light would have no stage. Without the stillness, the stars would have no canvas. The silence that birthed the stars is still here, surrounding us, holding the galaxies like jewels in a velvet sky. Consider our own sun. It is not a first-generation star. It is the child of many before it, enriched by the ashes of giants. The earth and every living thing upon it carries within its atoms the memory of those first explosions. When you breathe, the oxygen in your lungs once forged in the heart of a star. When you look at your hand, the calcium in your bones was once carried outward by a supernova. The silence that gave birth to the stars also gave birth to us, slowly, gently, across billions of years. To think of it is to feel small, yet deeply connected, as though each of us is a quiet echo of that first light. Now imagine lying under the night sky, the stars above twinkling softly. Most of them are younger than the first stars, descendants of countless generations that lived and died before. Yet they carry the same story, the same fire, the same process of fusion. Their light travels across space and time, carrying whispers of the silence that once was. When that light reaches your eyes, it completes a journey begun billions of years ago. You are the listener of an ancient song, the receiver of a message sent long before your birth. And in this, the silence is broken, not with noise, but with light, a gentle language that needs no words. The silence that birthed the stars was not a failure, but a preparation. It was the long inhale before the exhale, the pause before the melody, the waiting that made the music sweeter. Science tells us the details about hydrogen clouds, nuclear fusion, supernovae, but beneath those facts lies a softer truth. The universe is patient. It waits, it builds, it unfolds in time. And we who are made of stars inherit that patience. We are the children of silence and light, capable of wonder, of reflection, of asking where it all began. And when we listen closely, perhaps we can still hear that silence, still feel the calm that preceded creation. For it is not gone. It lives in the spaces between heartbeats, in the pauses between thoughts, in the stillness of the night when we look up and see the stars that were born from silence. Let us drift deeper now, into the silence that birthed the stars, and explore how that silence slowly bloomed into the vast and varied cosmos we know. After the first stars kindled, they changed everything. Their fierce light and short lives transformed the universe from a place of calm darkness into one of structure, rhythm, and color. But the silence was not erased. It lingered, shaping the spaces between galaxies, guiding the pace of creation, and reminding us that even in the most brilliant symphony, pauses give the music its grace. The first stars, those giants called population II stars, were made of only hydrogen and helium, untouched by the heavier elements that would come later. Because of this, they burned at ferocious temperatures, fusing their fuel at speeds we can barely imagine. Some of them swelled to hundreds of times the mass of our sun, bright enough to outshine entire galaxies, yet fleeting as a candle in the wind. They lived for only a few million years before collapsing, often in violent supernovae that spread their new elements outward. These explosions were the first great voices breaking the cosmic silence, scattering carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and iron, the alphabet of future worlds, into the waiting void. Without those brief lives, there could be no earth, no seas, no forests, no us. But the silence returned after each explosion, for space is vast, and even the brightest star fades when seen across billions of light years. Imagine watching a single firefly in the distance of a dark field. For a moment it glows, and then it is gone, and the night is dark again. Yet, if many fireflies flicker, their light together transforms the whole field. So it was with the first stars. Alone, each was fleeting, but together they filled the universe with brilliance, and their deaths enriched the gas from which new generations of stars would be born. Slowly, the silence filled with rhythm, a call and response of fire and stillness, light and dark. From those enriched clouds, the next generations of stars formed. These were smaller, longer-lived, and more varied. Some gathered into great spirals of galaxies, their arms glowing with clusters of blue-white suns. Others settled into elliptical galaxies, vast and smooth, filled with older, redder stars. In the spaces between, the silence deepened, stretching across cosmic voids where galaxies are few and far between. This structure, the cosmic web, is one of the grandest designs in nature. It looks like frost spreading across glass, or filaments of light strung across the sky. And though the stars themselves are bright, most of the universe is empty, quiet, and dark. The silence remains, vast enough to cradle all the light. Consider how galaxies evolve, not in a rush, but in slow dances that take billions of years. Sometimes they collide, their stars weaving past one another while their gas clouds crash, sparking new star birth. Sometimes they drift alone, gently forming stars at their own pace. Our own Milky Way is one such spiral galaxy, with arms that stretch wide and a center glowing with ancient light. Within it, the sun and its planets move, circling. The galactic core once every 225 million years. To imagine this is to feel the patience of the cosmos, the calm rhythm set in motion long ago by the silence that birthed it all. And at the heart of many galaxies, there lies another mystery: supermassive black holes. These objects, millions or billions of times the mass of the sun, sit quietly, invisible except for the way they bend space and stir the matter around them. Yet when gas and stars fall toward them, they blaze with energy, creating quasars that shine brighter than entire galaxies. The silence that birthed the stars also birthed these dark hearts, reminders that creation and destruction are never far apart. And yet, even black holes, so feared for their finality, are part of the gentle balance. They help regulate the growth of galaxies, shaping their form and their light. Even in their darkness, they carry the echoes of the silence that began it all. Now let us turn to the elements themselves, the children of those first stars. Each atom of carbon in your body was born in the core of a star. Each oxygen atom in your lungs was spread by a supernova. Each bit of calcium in your bones, each trace of iron in your blood was forged in stellar furnaces long before Earth was formed. To think of this is to see how deeply we are woven into the story of the cosmos. We are not separate from the stars, but their descendants, their living continuation. When you breathe the silence and the song of the universe. When you sleep, your body is held by the patience of billions of years. When you wonder, your mind is the universe reflecting upon itself. Science has shown us this lineage in detail. We can measure the abundance of elements in stars, tracing how each generation enriched the next. We can look into ancient galaxies, billions of light years away, and see them as they were when the universe was young. We can map the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang, and compare it to the galaxies we see today, finding the same patterns carried across time. All of this tells us that the silence did not end with the stars. It shaped them, carried them, and still surrounds them. The universe is not only a place of light, but also of stillness, and both are necessary. There is poetry in this truth. The silence before the stars was not barren. It was fertile, holding the potential for everything. Without that quiet, without the long patience of dark ages, the stars could not have been born. And even now, the silence continues to play its role. Between the stars, space is vast and empty, a quiet sea across which light must travel. That distance is what allows us to see the past, to look back billions of years simply by gazing far away. Without the silence, we would not have memory. Without the darkness, we would not have light. Creation is not only in the bright moments, but in the spaces between them. So when you look at the night sky, you are not only seeing stars, you are seeing the silence that birthed them stretched across space and time. You are seeing the pauses between notes, the breath before the song, the calm that allows the light to shine. And when you close your eyes, you can feel that same silence within yourself. It is the pause between your heartbeats, the stillness before your thoughts. It is the same silence that once held the cosmos, the same silence that gave birth to every star, every planet, every living thing. In this way, you are not only part of the universe, you are part of its silence, part of its patience, part of its unfolding song. Now we come to the gentle closing of this story, where silence and stars weave together into one endless song. The silence that birthed the stars was never just a pause in time. It was the quiet stage upon which the greatest drama of creation unfolded. From the long dark ages to the first brilliant lights, from giant stars that lived like fierce sparks to the galaxies that gathered their light, everything we know has been shaped by that balance of stillness and fire. And as we follow the story toward its soft conclusion, we see how this silence still lingers, still shapes, still speaks to us through the calm spaces between the stars. When the first stars died, scattering their ashes into the void, they left behind more than elements. They left behind memory. The carbon that cooled into dust, the oxygen that drifted into gas, the iron that fell into clouds, all of these became the record of their brief existence. In time, new stars formed from that dust and gas, carrying the story forward. Some of those stars formed planets, and on at least one world, life appeared, life that could grow and breathe and wonder. It is here that the silence that birthed the stars touched us most directly. For in our atoms, in our breath, in our blood, we carry the silence and the fire both. We are walking echoes of the dark and the light, born from the balance of what is still and what shines. Onside of the Milky Way, our home, its stars move in long, slow orbits, circling the galactic center in a dance that takes hundreds of millions of years. Around us are billions of stars, each with its own planets, each with its own chance to host life. And beyond the Milky Way are countless other galaxies, each a swirl of starlight spread across the night. The silence that birthed them all has not vanished. It rests in the blackness between, in the deep distances that separate each shining island. The universe is mostly space, mostly silence, and that silence is what allows the light to be seen. Without it, the stars would blur into one, their voices lost. With it, each shines clearly, and the night sky becomes a symphony of points, each carrying a story from afar. And yet, for all the vastness, the silence is intimate. When you sit by a quiet lake at night, and the stars reflect upon the water, you are seeing both silence and light together. The calm of the water mirrors the calm of space, while the scattered stars mirror the galaxies above. In that moment, the silence is not distant. It is here, touching your skin, entering your breath. It reminds you that the same calm that cradled the universe also cradles you. And it tells you that creation is not only an ancient story, but an ongoing one, unfolding in every moment, in every breath, in every quiet pause. The silence that birthed the stars also shapes their endings. Stars like our sun will one day swell into red giants, casting their outer layers into space before fading into white dwarfs. More massive stars will collapse into black holes or explode as supernovae, sending new elements into the cosmos. Each ending is also a beginning, for the silence gathers the scattered pieces and holds them until new stars are born. The universe has always known this rhythm: stillness, birth, fire, silence, and birth again. It is a cycle, not a line, and it continues patiently across billions of years. Even now, scientists look into the silence with their telescopes, listening for its whispers. The James Webb Space Telescope peers into the earliest galaxies, capturing light that has traveled for over 13 billion years. Radio telescopes tune into the faint hum of hydrogen across the cosmos, mapping the structure of galaxies and voids. Each instrument is a kind of ear pressed against the quiet, listening for echoes of creation. And what we hear is this: the silence is not empty. It is full of memory, full of potential, full of beauty too vast to ever exhaust. Science gives us numbers and graphs, but beneath them lies a gentler truth. Silence and stars are not separate, but two halves of the same song. We do not know what the final verse will be. Perhaps the universe will continue to expand forever, its galaxies drifting apart into isolation, its stars burning out until silence rules again. Perhaps it will collapse and the silence will gather everything back into one final breath, ready for a new beginning. Perhaps there are countless universes, each with its own silence, its own stars, its own stories. Whatever the ending, the silence will not be a void. It will be a cradle holding what has been, ready for what will come. That is the gift of the silence that birthed the stars. It is not absence, but presence, not nothingness, but the gentle space that allows everything to be. And so, as we rest here at the close of this story, let us remember what silence truly means. It is the pause before creation, the calm that makes music possible, the dark that makes light visible. It is the womb of stars, the breath before the song, the canvas upon which galaxies are painted. When you close your eyes and feel the stillness around you, you are touching the same silence that once filled the cosmos, the same silence that gave rise to stars, planets, oceans, and life. You are not separate from it. You are part of it. You are the silence that became a song. So let this story end as softly as it began, not with a final note, but with a lingering calm. The silence that birthed the stars is still with us, in the spaces between galaxies, in the pauses between heartbeats, in the quiet moments of wonder when you look at the night sky. It is a silence that does not end. It carries on, patient and eternal, a gentle thread woven through all things. And as you drift toward rest, let it hold you as it once held the stars, as it still holds the universe itself. There is a moment each morning before the sun rises, when the sky is not yet bright but no longer fully dark. The air holds its breath, the world waits, and a pale glow begins to spread along the horizon. We call it dawn, and though it happens every day, it never loses its quiet magic. In the story of the cosmos, there was also a dawn, an endless dawn that stretched across billions of years. Its echoes still reach us today, whispering through the light of ancient stars and the soft hum of the cosmic background. This is the story of that dawn and how its light continues to echo across time. The first dawn of the universe came when light was finally free to travel. For nearly 380,000 years after the Big Bang, the cosmos was a hot, dense fog where photons, the particles of light, could not move without bumping into matter. It was like trying to walk through a crowded room, every step blocked, every path tangled. But as the universe expanded and cooled, the fog lifted. Atoms formed, light escaped, and the universe became transparent. That first release of light was the opening of cosmic dawn. It spread in every direction, filling the whole of space, and even now, billions of years later, we can still detect it as the cosmic microwave background. It is not bright to our eyes, but it is everywhere, a faint afterglow of the first morning. Imagine standing in a meadow and watching the mist rise as the sun begins to shine. Shapes appear, colors return, and what was hidden becomes clear. The universe experienced something like this during its dawn. The fog of plasma thinned and the first structures of matter emerged. Photons, once trapped, began their long journey across space. Some of those very photons have traveled ever since, reaching our telescopes today. When we measure them, we are reading the diary of the cosmos written in light. Each tiny fluctuation in the background tells us where matter gathered, where it spread thin, where galaxies would one day form. These echoes are not just memories. They are maps of the future, drawn in the first light of dawn. But cosmic dawn did not end there. For hundreds of millions of years after the universe became transparent, it was still dark. The first stars had not yet ignited, and though light was free to travel, there were no new sources of it. This was a long twilight, a waiting time. Gravity worked slowly, drawing matter together into clouds, preparing for the next burst of brilliance. It was as though the universe itself lingered in the hush before sunrise, holding its breath, waiting for the moment when the first stars would blaze. And when they did, the darkness was broken forever. Those first stars were enormous, shining with power we can hardly imagine. They lit the cosmos with fierce ultraviolet light, ionizing the hydrogen around them and clearing the fog once again. Their brilliance reionized the universe, turning twilight into day. This process was not quick. It spread across vast distances as one star lit, then another, then clusters, then galaxies. Slowly, the sky filled with light. It was not one sunrise, but many, spread across billions of light years, each flame adding to the chorus of dawn. And just as the sunrise paints the sky with color, the first stars painted the universe with new elements, scattering the seeds of life with every fiery death. These echoes of dawn still reach us in other ways too. Every galaxy we see in the night sky, every star, every planet is a continuation of that first light. When you look at the Milky Way stretching across the night, you are seeing the river of stars that was born from that endless dawn. Each star carries within it the memory of the first fusion fires. Each planet, each drop of water, each living cell is a ripple from that ancient morning. The dawn has not ended, for its echoes continue in every photon of starlight that reaches your eyes. Scientists today study this cosmic dawn with careful instruments. They tune their telescopes to the faint signals of hydrogen, to the ancient glow of the microwave background, to the distant galaxies whose light has traveled for billions of years. They seek to understand how the first stars formed, how galaxies grew, how the universe moved from darkness into brilliance. Each discovery is like uncovering another note of the dawn's song, another echo of that endless morning. And the more we learn, the more we see that dawn is not just a moment in the past. It is a continuing process, still unfolding as new stars are born, new light is cast, new echoes spread. When you watch the sunrise, you know it is not only about that one moment. The light of dawn spreads into day, carrying warmth, growth, and life. So too with the cosmic dawn. Its light did not end when the first stars burned out. It continues in the galaxies that formed, in the planets that spun around them, in the lives that emerged. We are part of that dawn, living within its echoes, carrying its light in our very being. The atoms of our bodies are the afterglow of stars, the whispers of the first fire. The echoes of an endless dawn are not only in the sky, they are within us, reminders that we belong to the story of light. So let us rest in this thought. The universe is still dawn, still rising, still spreading light across its vastness. The echoes are everywhere, in the hum of the microwave background, in the glow of galaxies, in the fire of stars, in the breath of life. And when you close your eyes tonight, you can imagine you are lying beneath that first dawn, feeling its warmth, hearing its silence, and knowing that you are part of its story. The echoes of an endless dawn are not fading. They are growing, carrying us forward, reminding us that every day, every breath, every star is a continuation of the first light. Let us move further into the glow of that endless dawn, letting its light spread softly around us as we drift deeper into its meaning. The dawn of the universe was not sudden, not a switch flipped from night to day, but a slow blossoming like the petals of a flower opening in the morning sun. It began with the release of light when atoms first formed, continued through the ignition of the first stars, and unfolded over hundreds of millions of years as galaxies assembled. Its echoes remain, whispering through the sky, not only in what we see, but in what we are. To explore this dawn is to understand that our lives are written in its light. After the fog of the early universe cleared, matter gathered into invisible threads shaped by gravity and dark matter. These threads are what we call the cosmic web, a grand structure stretching across the universe, connecting galaxies in delicate filaments and vast clusters. Imagine frost creeping across a window or rivers carving paths through land. The cosmic web is like that, but drawn in light and matter across billions of light years. Within its filaments, gas collected, cooled, and condensed into the first galaxies. These galaxies, in turn, lit the cosmos with new stars, ending the cosmic night and beginning the true day of the universe. The dawn was not only light, it was architecture, design, a pattern imprinted on the whole of creation. In this light, the first galaxies were fragile things. Small, irregular, glowing faintly, they were the seedlings of what would later grow into majestic spirals and giant ellipticals. Some merged together, building larger systems. Others were torn apart by gravitational tides, their stars scattered into intergalactic space. Over billions of years, the cosmic dawn gave way to a cosmic growth, galaxies multiplying, clustering, and evolving. Even now, when we look at distant galaxies with the most powerful telescopes, we are peering back into that dawn, seeing them as they were billions of years ago, when the light first began its journey. Each image is a window into the morning of the cosmos, frozen echoes of an endless beginning. But dawn is not only about the sky, it is about what was seeded in that light. Within the first stars, fusion created the heavy elements that would one day form planets. The oxygen that fills your lungs, the carbon that shapes your body, the nitrogen in your DNA, all were forged in that early fire. The cosmic dawn was not only a spectacle of light, it was a cradle of possibility. It gave the universe the tools for life, scattering them through space, waiting for worlds like Earth to gather them and give them form. When you breathe, you carry the breath of stars. When you speak, your voice is woven from atoms born in that dawn. You are not only alive in the present moment, you are the echo of a dawn billions of years old. Science has allowed us to measure these echoes with extraordinary precision. The cosmic microwave background carries within it tiny fluctuations, slight differences in temperature and density that map the seeds of galaxies. Radio telescopes now search for the faint 21-centimeter signal of hydrogen from the cosmic dawn, hoping to trace how the first stars changed their surroundings. Infrared telescopes peer back to see the earliest galaxies, their light stretched by expansion into longer, redder wavelengths. Each discovery is a note in the symphony of dawn, a new way of hearing the echoes that have traveled for billions of years. And though the data is complex, the truth it tells is simple and beautiful. The dawn is still with us, carried in every photon, every atom, every breath. There is a quiet poetry in the way light travels. When we look at the stars, we are not seeing them as they are, but as they were. The light of Sirius left its star 9 years ago. The light of Betelgeuse has traveled for over 600 years. The light of galaxies in the Hubble Deep Field has been on its journey for over 12 billion years. Every time we look into the sky, we are peering back into the dawn, receiving messages from an ancient morning that never truly ended. The echoes are not faint, they are all around us, if only we pause to listen. And this endless dawn is not only in the farthest reaches of space, it is also in the simple fact of a sunrise on Earth. When the sun rises each day, it repeats the cosmic pattern, darkness yielding to light, silence giving way to song. The same laws of physics that govern the birth of stars also shape the glow of dawn on our horizon. The scattering of light in the atmosphere paints the sky in pinks and golds, just as the scattering of photons across space. Add the colors of galaxies. To watch the sunrise is to watch the universe remembering itself, to see in a small moment the echo of something vast and ancient. The echoes also live in us in ways both subtle and profound. Our circadian rhythms, the cycles of sleep and waking, are tied to light and dark, to dawn and dusk. The rhythm of our lives mirrors the rhythm of the cosmos. We are creatures of light, yet also of silence, needing both to be whole. The dawn of the universe shaped not only the stars and galaxies, but also the way life itself would move and breathe. The echoes of that dawn are written into our biology, into the daily rising of our sun, into the very sense of wonder that makes us gaze upward at night. And so the echoes of an endless dawn are not fading. They are layered, woven through time, carried by light, by matter, by life. When you stand beneath the night sky, you are standing within that dawn, surrounded by its glow. You are not outside it, but inside it, a part of its unfolding. The light that touches your eyes is older than mountains, older than seas, older than Earth itself. It comes to you as a gift, a whisper from the first morning, reminding you that beginnings are never lost. They continue softly, patiently, echoing forever. Now we arrive at the gentle close of this story, where the endless dawn softens into reflection, and its echoes stretch not only through the skies above, but also through the quiet spaces within us. The dawn of the universe was not a single event that ended long ago. It was and still is an unfolding, light spilling into dark, structure blooming from silence, life rising from matter. To listen for the echoes of this dawn is to remember that we live within it still, each moment carrying the shimmer of a beginning that has never truly ceased. The cosmic dawn was a long transformation, from a universe filled only with gas and darkness into a universe filled with stars, galaxies, and worlds. Its echoes remain in the background radiation that hums softly across the sky, in the faint 21-centimeter whisper of ancient hydrogen, in the faintest galaxies we can glimpse at the edge of our sight. Scientists continue to build instruments to listen more closely, to tune into that quiet, ancient song. Yet even without telescopes, we can sense it. Every time we look at the night sky, every time we watch the sunrise, every time we breathe, we are feeling the echo of that endless dawn. It surrounds us because it made us, and it continues to unfold within us. Think of a single drop of water glimmering on a leaf at morning. That drop carries atoms of hydrogen formed within minutes of the Big Bang and atoms of oxygen forged in the cores of ancient stars. When light touches it, it gleams with the memory of the universe's first morning. The same is true for every stone, every tree, every breath of air. The dawn is not only in the past. It is present in the smallest details, in the ordinary moments that remind us of how extraordinary it is that anything exists at all. The echoes of an endless dawn are woven into the fabric of daily life, subtle yet profound. There is comfort in knowing that beginnings are never lost. The light of the first stars, though many of them have long since faded, continues to travel. Some of it still journeys across the universe, still moves through space, still carries its message. Light does not forget where it came from, and in that way neither do we. We carry beginnings within us, in our atoms, in our memories, in our questions. When we wonder about the cosmos, when we seek to understand where we came from, we are listening to those echoes. Wonder itself is one of the dawn's gentlest gifts, a reminder that curiosity is as natural as starlight. In time, the universe will change. Stars will fade, galaxies will drift apart, light will grow fainter. But the echoes of dawn will never be erased. They will live on in the structures already built, in the elements already forged, in the lives already lived. Even if the cosmos falls into silence once more, the dawn will still have happened, and its echoes will have carried across billions of years. They will remain as long as there are eyes to see the stars, minds to wonder, hearts to reflect. And if one day there are none, the echoes will still linger in the quiet fabric of space, patient and eternal. The endless dawn also teaches us something about ourselves. Just as the universe needed silence before it could shine, so too do we need stillness before we can grow. Just as the first stars lived briefly but gave their light to the future, so too do our lives, brief though they may be, enrich the story of others. We are part of the same rhythm: silence, birth, brilliance, and return. To see this is to recognize that we are not apart from the cosmos, but expressions of it, woven into its dawn and carrying its echoes forward. So let this story close with a gentle thought: every sunrise you witness on earth is not only the beginning of a day, but a reminder of the first light, the dawn that made all others possible. The pink and gold spreading across the horizon are cousins of the light that once freed itself from the fog of the young universe. The warmth on your skin is kin to the fire of the first stars. The silence of morning, broken by the songs of birds, mirrors the silence of the cosmos, broken by the birth of galaxies. Each dawn we see is a reflection of the endless dawn still echoing through time. When you lie down to rest, when you close your eyes and feel the quiet around you, you can imagine yourself surrounded by that first light, its echoes still falling softly across space, still carried in the atoms of your breath, still shining in the stars above. You are part of that dawn, its child, its continuation. And as you drift into sleep, let the echoes soothe you, reminding you that every moment, every breath is part of an endless beginning. The dawn has never ended. It lives on in you. Before the first galaxies spun their spirals of light, before the first stars burned hydrogen into fire, something even more delicate emerged. It was not made of atoms or light. It was not a particle or a wave. It was the quiet unfolding of time itself, the first whisper, the first rhythm, the first sense of before and after. Without it, there could be no story, no growth, no change. With it, the universe could begin its endless unfolding. Time's first whisper is not something we can see or touch, yet its presence is everywhere, guiding every heartbeat, every falling leaf, every star's slow burning. To imagine it is to imagine the moment when silence became a rhythm, when stillness learned how to flow. In those earliest instants, just after the Big Bang, time was not like the steady seconds we measure now. It was raw, trembling, barely formed. The Planck time, so small we cannot truly grasp it, was the first slice of existence where physics as we know it falters. Beyond that we cannot see. Within that whisper, everything we call before dissolves. Time began to stretch when space began to expand. They were not separate, but twins born together, shaping each other. To picture it, imagine a river appearing where there was no riverbed, flowing forward even as it carves the path beneath it. That is how time's first whisper moved, gentle yet unstoppable, carving the channel in which all events would flow. As the universe cooled and expanded, time began to find its rhythm. At first, moments were unimaginably short, passing in flashes faster than thought. Forces separated, gravity, electromagnetism, the strong and weak nuclear forces, all in less than a heartbeat of creation. Particles formed and danced, colliding, annihilating, emerging again. Time carried them forward, making their dance a story instead of a blur. Without time, their existence would have been a single still image. With time, it became motion, sequence, becoming. Every photon that has traveled since then, every particle that has endured, is carried on time's breath, borne forward by its invisible current. Time is not only a measure of change, it is also the quiet stage that allows change to happen. Imagine a meadow filled with wildflowers. Without the passing of time, the buds would never open, the petals would never fall, the seeds would never drift. The beauty of the meadow lies not only in its colors, but in its unfolding, its gentle transformation. So too with the cosmos. The stars we see overhead are beautiful, but they are more than points of light. They are stories, each with a beginning, a middle, and an end. They are cradles of atoms, engines of fusion, furnaces of life, and their stories are possible only because time's whisper became a steady flow. As time moved forward, it began to weave with space into something more intricate. Together, they formed space-time, a fabric that bends and stretches with mass and energy. Einstein showed us that time is not absolute, not a ticking clock detached from the world, but part of the same cloth as space. Gravity curves this cloth, slowing time where the fabric dips deep around stars and planets. A clock on Earth ticks differently from a clock in orbit, and both tick differently from one carried near a black hole. Time's whisper is not uniform. It bends, it stretches, it dances with matter and motion. And yet to us it feels steady. Seconds pass, minutes gather, hours unfold. It is a steady rhythm, even as beneath it lies a shifting song. There is mystery here, a mystery that science has not yet unraveled. We can describe how time flows, but we do not yet know why it flows at all. Why should there be a direction, an arrow pointing from past to future? Physics tells us the equations work the same in both directions, yet our experience does not. Eggs break but do not unbreak. Stars burn fuel but do not refuel themselves. Memory looks backward but not forward. This is the arrow of time, and it began with the first whisper. Many scientists believe it is tied to entropy, the tendency of systems to move from order to disorder. The universe began in a state of incredible order, smooth and even, and from there it has unfolded into complexity. Time's arrow points forward because the universe moves from simplicity to diversity, from calm to intricate beauty. Each moment is another step in that journey. And yet time is not only an abstract concept. It is intimate, personal, lived. It is the rhythm of your heart, the breath in your lungs, the steps you take, the thoughts that pass. Each moment you experience is carried on the same current that once carried the first particles, the same flow that guided galaxies into being. When you feel time passing, you are listening to the same whisper that began with the birth of the cosmos. You are not apart from it. You are woven into it, your life a strand carried forward on its tide. To think of time's first whisper is to think of beginnings not as sudden but as soft. The universe did not appear all at once, fully formed. It unfolded gently, moment by moment, event by event, guided by a rhythm that has never ceased. And that rhythm continues now in the ticking of a clock, in the orbit of the moon, in the slow drifting of galaxies. We are children of time, shaped by its flow, bound to its arrow, carried on its breath. And though we cannot touch it, we can feel it in everything that changes, everything that moves, everything that becomes. So let us linger in this thought. The whisper of time is still speaking. It speaks in the light that travels from distant stars, in the growth of a tree from seed to shade, in the rise and fall of your own breath. It began with the first moment of creation, and it continues without pause. To listen to it is to feel connected not only to the cosmos, but to yourself, to every moment you have lived and every moment yet to come. The first whisper of time is still flowing through you, and you are part of its story. Let us follow the thread of time more deeply, watching how its first whisper grew into the steady song that carries the universe forward. The dawn of time did not only bring order to chaos, it gave the cosmos a rhythm, a heartbeat that has guided every star, every planet, and every life. To understand this rhythm is to see the universe not as a frozen picture, but as a living story, flowing and unfolding with patience. Time is not just a backdrop. It is the stage and the music, the river and the current, the silence and the song. In the early universe, time carried events at a furious pace. In the first seconds, particles formed, annihilated, and reformed. In the first minutes, protons and neutrons fused into helium, while hydrogen remained abundant. In the first hundreds of thousands of years, atoms gathered and light was freed. But as the universe aged, time seemed to stretch, slowing the pace. Billions of years passed before galaxies fully formed, before stars enriched their surroundings, before planets began to circle suns. This stretching is not just perception. The expansion of space itself stretches time, changing the scale of events. Time's whisper became a steady hum, guiding the cosmos toward complexity without haste. And in that steadiness, patterns emerged. Stars live according to time's measure. Small stars burn slowly, living for tens of billions of years, while massive stars burn quickly, living only for millions. Planets form over tens of millions of years, carving paths around their stars. Life, too, follows time's slow hand, rising through generations, adapting, unfolding into complexity. Time is the painter of patience, layering detail upon detail until the canvas becomes rich with form. Without it, there would be no evolution, no growth, no story. Every river's path, every mountain's rise, every leaf's unfolding is a verse in the poem of time. But time is not only flow, it bends and twists in the presence of gravity and speed. Einstein's theory of relativity revealed that time is woven with space into one fabric. When a star's mass bends space, it also slows time near its surface. When a spacecraft moves quickly through the cosmos, time slows for it compared to an observer left behind. This is not imagination but reality, measured in experiments and seen in satellites above Earth. Time is not rigid. It is elastic, stretching and compressing in ways we can measure but cannot fully feel. And yet, despite its flexibility, it always flows forward, carrying us from past to future without pause. There is a mystery in this arrow of time. The equations of physics do not forbid time from moving backward. They work just as well in either direction, yet our lives do not. We remember the past but not the future. We grow older but not younger. We see eggs break but never unbreak. This arrow seems tied to entropy, the measure of disorder. The universe began in a state of low entropy, smooth and simple. From there, disorder gr. Yield creating complexity and difference. Stars burned their fuel, galaxies gathered, life evolved. Each of these changes moved forward along the arrow of time. It is as though the universe began in a whisper of order and has been exhaling into variety ever since. And yet time is not cold or mechanical. It is intimate, woven into the rhythm of our own lives. You feel it in your heartbeat, in the cycle of sleep and waking, in the seasons of the earth. You sense it in the way a child grows, in the way memories gather like stones along a path. Time is not only a cosmic principle. It is a lived experience, a river in which we float, and while we cannot step out of it, we can notice its flow. We can listen to its whisper in the smallest moments, in the pause between breaths, in the silence before dawn. The same force that carried the first particles forward carries you forward now, gently, patiently. Scientists have tried to imagine what lies beyond time. Some theories suggest that time may have had no beginning, that the Big Bang was only one moment in a larger cycle. Others imagine time as emerging from something deeper, something more fundamental than we can yet describe. In quantum physics, time seems less solid, less absolute, sometimes even disappearing from the equations. These mysteries remind us that we do not fully know what time is. We measure it, we live it, we rely on it, but its essence remains elusive. It began with a whisper, and even now it whispers secrets we have not yet understood. What we do know is that without time, the universe would be a still canvas. With time, it is a story. Every falling star, every growing seed, every heartbeat adds another word to that story. The whisper that began in the earliest moments has become a chorus, sung by galaxies and planets and lives. And yet beneath the chorus, the whisper remains, soft and steady, carrying all things forward. You can almost hear it when you sit quietly, when you watch shadows lengthen, when you see light fade into dark. It is the soundless rhythm that holds everything. So let us rest in this thought. Time is not only something that passes, it is something that carries. It carried the universe from its first breath to this moment. It carries you gently into tomorrow. It carries memories, weaving them into meaning. And it carries echoes of the first whisper, reminding us that we are not separate from the cosmos, but part of its unfolding song. To feel time is to feel connected to the deepest rhythm of creation, the rhythm that began when silence first learned how to flow. Now we arrive at the soft closing of this story, where the first whisper of time lingers like the fading notes of a lullaby. Time has been with us since the universe's earliest breath, guiding atoms into stars, stars into galaxies, and galaxies into the great web of light we see today. It has carried every moment forward, never pausing, never turning back, a current that flows quietly yet unceasingly. To reflect on time's first whisper is to see that the universe itself is not a frozen thing, but an unfolding, a song that continues to be sung. And in that song, we find not only the cosmos, but ourselves. Time shapes everything we know. It stretches across the lives of stars, from their fiery birth to their gentle fading into white dwarfs, neutron stars, or black holes. It paints the history of galaxies as they collide and merge, forming new shapes across billions of years. It cradles the Earth, turning molten rock into oceans, mountains, and continents. It nurtures life, carrying it through ages of change, extinction, and renewal. Time is the patient artist of existence, layering moments upon moments until the canvas becomes rich with meaning. And though we often think of time as fleeting, its true gift is endurance. Without it, nothing could grow, nothing could remember, nothing could become. There is a tenderness in the way time moves. It does not hurry, though stars may blaze and die in what seems to us an instant. It does not stop, though galaxies drift apart until their light can no longer reach each other. It moves gently, like a river carving valleys, like wind smoothing stone. It carries joy and sorrow alike, weaving them into memory. It gives depth to love, weight to loss, and sweetness to fleeting moments. When you hold a hand, when you share a word, when you breathe in the stillness of night, time is there, carrying those moments into the story of your life. You may not feel its motion, but you live within it, every heartbeat a measure of its song. The first whisper of time still echoes in physics, in the ticking of atomic clocks, in the bending of light around massive stars, in the expansion of the universe itself, we hear its rhythm. Relativity tells us that time is not absolute, that it bends and stretches depending on speed and gravity. Quantum physics suggests that at the smallest scales, time may not even exist as we understand it. These puzzle. Ease remind us that time is both familiar and mysterious. We count it in seconds, hours, and years, yet its essence slips through our grasp. It began with a whisper, and it remains a whisper, soft but undeniable, guiding everything forward. And what of its future? Will time continue forever, or will it one day fold back into silence? If the universe expands endlessly, time may carry on without end, stretching into an infinite future where galaxies grow dark and stars grow cold. If the universe collapses, time may one day circle back, ending where it began. Or perhaps there are cycles beyond our sight, with time repeating in endless rhythms, beginning anew after every ending. These are mysteries we cannot yet solve. But what we know is enough. Time has carried us here to this moment, and it continues to carry us onward softly, patiently, without pause. Time is also memory. It allows us to look back, to recall moments long past, to hold them like fragile shells in the palm of the mind. Without time, there would be no past, no story, no remembrance. The universe itself remembers in light. Photons that have traveled billions of years carry the image of galaxies as they once were. In this way, light is the memory of time, a record of what has passed. When you look at the stars, you're looking into memory, seeing not only what is but what once was. Time allows the universe to remember itself, and in that memory, we find our place. But time is also hope. It is the space in which futures unfold, in which seeds grow, in which love deepens. Just as the first whisper allowed particles to become atoms and atoms to become stars, so does every moment allow possibility. The arrow of time carries us forward, and though we cannot see what lies ahead, we trust that it will bring growth, discovery, and wonder. To live is to move with time's current, to trust its flow, to find meaning not only in what was but in what will be. So let this story close with a gentle thought. The first whisper of time is still speaking. It speaks in the rhythm of your heart, in the movement of the clouds, in the orbit of the earth around the sun. It speaks in the laughter you remember, in the dreams you hold, in the quiet moments between breaths. It began when the universe began, and it will continue as long as the cosmos endures. And in its whisper, you are carried, you are held, you are part of the unfolding. Time's first whisper was not only the beginning of the universe, it was the beginning of every story, including yours. When you close your eyes tonight, listen for it. Feel the calm flow of seconds, the gentle drift of thoughts, the quiet breath that carries you toward rest. That is the same whisper that carried the first stars, the same whisper that shaped galaxies, the same whisper that will carry the universe into futures we cannot yet imagine. You are part of that whisper, part of its story, part of its endless unfolding. And as you drift into sleep, let it soothe you, reminding you that you are held in the same calm rhythm that has guided the cosmos since its very first breath. There is a mystery in the way the universe holds memory, as though it were not only matter and light, but also a quiet keeper of its own story. Every atom carries history, every star remembers its birth, every galaxy holds the marks of past collisions. To look at the cosmos is to look at memory stretched across space and time. It is not a memory written in books or spoken in words, but one inscribed in light, in gravity, in the elements that make us who we are. This is the story of how the universe remembers itself, and how we, in turn, are part of that memory. Light is the first and clearest memory of the cosmos. The cosmic microwave background is a soft glow that fills every corner of space, the afterglow of the Big Bang itself. It is a record of a time when the universe was just 380,000 years old, when atoms first formed and photons were freed to travel. That light has journeyed for nearly 14 billion years, stretching into microwaves as space expanded, yet it still carries the imprint of its origin. Within its faint ripples, scientists can read the seeds of galaxies, the fingerprints of the earliest moments. It is as though the universe took a photograph of its own childhood and has kept it safe in the background of all things, waiting for us to discover it. Stars, too, are keepers of memory. Each one carries in its elements the story of what came before. The first stars forged the universe's initial heavy elements. Later generations added more, until stars like our sun were born with the richness needed to form planets and life. When we study a star's spectrum, splitting its light into lines of color, we can see what it is made of. Those lines are signatures, memories of nuclear furnaces that have burned for billions of years. They tell us the age of the star, its composition, its ancestry. Every star is like a diary written in fire, recording the history of matter and energy in its core. Galaxies are vast libraries of memory. Their shapes reveal their pasts, spirals that grew slowly, ellipticals formed from collisions, irregulars still finding their balance. Streams of stars stretching across them are trails left by smaller galaxies long since absorbed. globular clusters, dense knots of old stars, are relics from the universe's youth, preserved within larger galaxies like fossils in stone. Even the dark matter that surrounds galaxies holds memory, guiding their growth with gravity, shaping their forms, holding them together. To map a galaxy is to read its memory, to trace the quiet story of billions of years. The Earth itself is a vessel of cosmic memory. Its rocks carry records of ancient seas and shifting continents. Its minerals contain elements forged in stars long dead. Its oceans hold salt left by rivers that have flowed for ages. Its very core is iron, once fused in stellar furnaces. And life on Earth is memory embodied. DNA is a record written across billions of years of evolution, carrying the instructions for growth and survival. In every cell there is memory of ancestors, of adaptations, of struggles and triumphs carried across time. To live is to carry memory, not only personal memory, but the deep memory of the universe itself. And then there is us, human beings, capable of reflection. Our minds hold personal memories, moments of childhood, voices of loved ones, the scent of rain, the warmth of sunlight. But our minds also hold cosmic memory, for we can look outward and see the echoes of the beginning. Through science, we have learned to read the universe's diaries, the light of ancient stars, the ripples of the microwave background, the spectra of galaxies billions of years old. We are the part of the universe that remembers it is remembering. When you gaze at the night sky, you are not only seeing stars, you are seeing memory carried across space, woven into the very fabric of reality. What is most wondrous is that memory is not only past, it is also present, unfolding every moment. Each breath you take carries oxygen made in ancient stars, carbon recycled through countless forms of life, hydrogen born at the dawn of time. Each heartbeat is a continuation of rhythms older than galaxies, and each thought you have is an echo of the universe becoming aware of itself. You are memory embodied, not apart from the cosmos, but its living continuation. To recognize this is to feel not only awe but belonging, a quiet certainty that you are part of the universe's story of remembering. So let us linger in this truth. The universe does not forget. It carries its history in light, in matter, in the patterns of galaxies, in the atoms of our bodies. And in us it finds a new kind of memory, one that can reflect, wonder, and speak. When you look at the stars, when you trace their constellations, when you listen to the silence of the night, you are taking part in that memory. The universe remembers itself through you. And as you close your eyes, as you drift into rest, you are held in the same continuity that began with the first light, the same memory that will echo long after. The universe remembers, and so do you. Let us drift deeper into the thought of memory woven into the cosmos, for the universe does not merely exist, it remembers. Each structure, each atom, each light wave is a thread of recollection, a story carried forward across unimaginable spans of time. To follow these threads is to hear the quiet chorus of the universe remembering itself, softly, patiently, without ever forgetting. In this section, we linger with the many forms of memory that flow through the cosmos, from the tiniest particle to the grandest clusters of galaxies, and see how they connect to us, the beings who can recognize memory for what it is. Consider the way light remembers its path. A photon born in the heart of a star begins its journey buried deep in the core, bouncing for thousands or even millions of years before escaping into space. Once free, it travels in a straight line, crossing light years, carrying with it the moment of its escape. When it finally touches your eye, it completes a memory billions of years in the making. That photon is not just light, it is a messenger, a record of a star's life, a story whispered across the void. Every glimmer of starlight you see is a memory arriving, proof that light never forgets where it came from. Gravity, too, is a keeper of memory. When galaxies pass near each other, their stars are drawn into long, graceful streams, tidal tails stretching like ribbons across the sky. These streams last for billions of years, recording the meeting of galaxies long after the moment has passed. Even if the galaxies merge and change, the trails remain, silent reminders of encounters written into the fabric of space. Black holes, the most extreme children of gravity, are themselves records of collapse, preserving in their mass memory of stars that once burned. They are paradoxical diaries, silent, hidden, yet enduring. On Earth, we see memory in every layer of stone. Fossils preserve the forms of creatures long gone, seashells imprinted in rock speak of vanished oceans, and ice cores hold air bubbles that tell us of climates from hundreds of thousands of years ago. The Earth is a book written slowly, each page a layer, each line an event. Even the rivers carve memory into the land, valleys telling of waters that flowed for ages. And above Earth, the moon carries the memory of impacts, craters that remain unchanged for billions of years, scars from the violent youth of the solar system. These are not just marks. They are stories held in silence, the universe's way of never letting go of its past. Life itself is perhaps the most profound memory of all. Every cell contains DNA, a molecule that records billions of years of adaptation and survival. Each gene is a memory of challenges faced, environments endured, paths taken. When a flower blooms, when a bird sings, when a human breathes, it is not just life in the present. It is life remembering, continuing, carrying forward what has come before. In our bodies, we carry the memory of fish that swam, reptiles that walked, mammals that nursed. We are living archives, walking continuations of the cosmos's long story of becoming. But memory is not only physical, it is also mathematical, written into the patterns of the universe. The cosmic web, with its filaments and clusters, is a memory of the earliest fluctuations in density, amplified by time and gravity. The background radiation holds tiny variations that match the galaxies we see today. The shape of the universe itself, its curvature, its expansion, is a record of its origin. Every structure we observe is not just what is. It is also what was, memory frozen into form, stretching across time to tell us where it came from. And in us, the universe's memory becomes something new, awareness. We do not only carry memory in our atoms and our DNA. We can reflect upon it, imagine it, speak of it. When we tell stories, when we write books, when we teach children, we are adding another layer of memory, one that belongs not only to nature but to consciousness. We are the part of the cosmos that remembers itself deliberately. When you gaze at the stars and feel wonder, you are joining in the act of cosmic memory, recognizing that you are both observer and participant, both reader and story. The beauty of memory is that it blurs the line between past and present. When light from a distant galaxy touches your eyes, the galaxy may have changed or even vanished, yet the memory of its ancient form remains. When you walk through a forest, the air you breathe may contain molecules exhaled by creatures millions of years ago. When you think of a loved one, their presence lingers in memory, defying time's arrow in the quiet persistence of recollection. Memory is not bound by the moment, it stretches, connects, bridges. It is the way the universe holds itself together, the way it ensures that nothing is ever truly lost. So as we drift in this thought, let us see memory not only as a record of what has passed, but as a gift to what is to come. The universe remembers so that it can grow, each new layer building on the last, each new dawn carrying the echoes of the first. And we as beings of reflection are the keepers of this truth. We hold memory in our minds, our stories, our science, our songs. The universe remembers itself through us, and in doing so, it continues its story in ways beyond stars and galaxies. We are not separate from that remembering. We are its voice, its echo, its living continuation. Now we come to the quiet close of this final story, where memory itself becomes a soft presence, like a lantern glowing at the edge of night. The universe has been remembering since its first breath, carrying its history in light, in gravity, in matter, and in life. To rest with this thought is to understand that nothing is ever fully lost. The echo of beginnings lingers in every corner, in every atom, in every living being. And when we listen gently, we can hear that the universe not only remembers, it remembers through us. Think of light again, traveling across billions of years. Some photons began their journey when Earth was not yet formed, when no oceans rippled, no forests grew. They cross the void with patience, carrying the imprint of stars long gone. When they arrive in our telescopes or touch our eyes, they deliver their story. In that moment, memory becomes present, ancient light folding itself into our experience. We are witnesses to history carried on beams of light, the universe ensuring that its past is not forgotten. Every star we see is both now and then, a blend of present shine and ancient memory. Consider the atoms within your body. Hydrogen, born in the first moments after the Big Bang, has traveled through stars, clouds, and eons to find its way into your breath. Carbon and oxygen were forged in stellar hearts, scattered by supernovae, gathered into the earth and shaped into your very cells. Iron, once fused in dying stars, now flows in your blood. These atoms are memories embodied, physical reminders of processes billions of years old. You are not only yourself, you are the archive of cosmic history, a walking memory of creation. The earth, too, holds memory in its bones. Mountains carry the scars of collisions and uplift. Rivers carve valleys that tell of ages of flowing water. Fossils capture the forms of creatures long extinct, their shapes pressed into stone like words on a page. Ice layers preserve bubbles of ancient air, carrying whispers of climates long past. Each piece of earth is a chapter in memory, written slowly, patiently, over billions of years. And in living beings, that memory continues. DNA carries the record of evolution, each gene a story of survival, adaptation, and change. The curve of a fin, the flutter of a wing, the shape of a hand, these are all memories refined by time, passed down through unbroken chains of life. But there is more. In us, memory becomes awareness. We not only carry the past, we recall it, reflect on it, share it. We tell stories of our ancestors, paint pictures of our history, build monuments to preserve events. We write books, sing songs, carve symbols, all to hold memory against the flow of time. In doing so, we become the voice of the universe, giving shape to its remembrance. Through us, the cosmos does not only remember in light and matter. It remembers in thought, in love, in wonder. When you close your eyes and recall a moment, you are adding to the universe's memory, creating echoes that ripple beyond yourself. Memory is not only backward-looking, it is also forward-reaching. The records kept in stars, in rocks, in mines become seeds for the future. Light that leaves a star today will carry its memory to distant observers billions of years from now. The stories we tell may inspire lives long after ours have ended. The knowledge we uncover about the cosmos will remain as part of humanity's memory, shaping the paths of those who come after. Memory, in this way, is the bridge between what was and what will be. It is the thread that binds past, present, and future into one fabric of continuity. And so, when we ask whether the universe remembers itself, the answer is yes, through light, through matter, through life, and through us. Each star that shines is a memory in motion. Each galaxy is a library of history. Each breath is a continuation of ancient processes. And each human reflection, each gentle thought of wonder is the universe recognizing its own memory. We are not outside the story. We are its living remembrance, its conscious echo, its way of ensuring that nothing is lost to silence. Let this story end as softly as it began, with the image of memory as light. Imagine lying beneath the night sky, the stars above scattering their glow across the darkness. Each point of light is an echo, a memory, a story carried forward. And in your quiet gaze, the universe fulfills its remembrance, for in you the memory becomes known. You are part of that memory, inseparable from it, woven into its fabric. As you drift towards sleep, let this truth cradle you. The universe remembers itself, and you are its gentle witness, its quiet continuation, its living memory.